this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Like, yeah. And so the clowns with their anaconda taking down the Hulk was highlight for me.
That's amazing.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Michael,
We can talk about poetry now.
Yeah, let's dive in here. Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday, always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron, and today we have with us a dear friend of the show, a poet who last time followed us down all sorts of tangents from geek culture, fatherhood, theater nerddom, ministry discernment, and imposter syndrome. Frankly, it's a wonder we even talked about his bad poetry at all. Making his triumphant return to the show, bringing back a crowning bad work that we didn't have the guts to tackle last time. Michael VanCalbergh, welcome to My Bad Poetry.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I wanted to let you know, even though this is an audio format, I got a haircut specially for this.
Oh, wow.
So it's nice and fresh, right?
Yes.
I hope that everybody listening can hear how fresh this haircut is.
You've got that,
for you all.
That great fade. I think they're calling it the Kelsey now, although it's been a haircut for several decades before him.
Well, I think when you date Taylor Swift, you just automatically get things named after you, you know?
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
And better a haircut than like something bad that she wrote a song about, you know?
Give it a couple years. He'll have a song.
Yeah, universe.
I've been saying we. Dave is not with us today. He has lost his voice due to illness. Typical Dave.
Typical Dave.
So, he leaves me to the task of bringing us into the realm of bad poetry with a hastily written poem.
Okay.
And I don't have anything because he let me know just about an hour ago that he couldn't do this. But by happenstance, Michael, I was playing around with the different AIs that are online yesterday, just like I was bored. And this is maybe not like a vanity project, but I was just asking it about like My Bad Poetry and having it like write fake scripts to see if it has any clue what our show is. And so I actually have with me a saved script from this would be, I'm looking at the one from Copilot, which is the Microsoft version. And within it, it gives us the bad poem, Quantum Limerick, Black Hole Blues. So I'm going to read that for us today because that's what I got.
That sounds good.
So this is called Black Hole Blues, a hastily written poem by Copilot AI. A black hole named Fred from Nantucket swallowed stars, quarks, and a bucket. Its event horizon danced, quantum tango entranced, and sang, "Gravity's just a suggestion."
Oh man, I'm just gonna go on record here and just say that I am not pro like large language models right now. I'm not pro them, and there's so many problems with them. Did you know?
You can't even write a limerick right.
It's wild. I saw a skeet. Is that what they're calling it on Bluesky? Right, a Bluesky post, a skeet,
whatever.
Yeah. Where someone asked ChatGPT how many words are in this sentence, and it got it wrong.
Yeah,
and because it's not a search engine, right? And so like, but people keep selling it as like it's like a great search engine. No, we already have a search engine that works. We have multiple that work. What the hell is this new shit? And then like, do you know? Okay, this is what I was gonna say. Do you know that every time you ask AI a question or have it do something, it's like taking, what was it, like a pitcher of water and just dumping it? It's like a huge waste of resources because it just takes so much energy for the large language model to work. And there's all these articles, right, which I think are great, which are like, oh, we can't scale large language models. We're looking for a solution. And I love everyone's response, which is the solution is not to use it. Like, don't use it. It doesn't do what you say it's doing, right? Or it doesn't do it well yet, right? If it's going to ever. And then like also, like it's using all this energy and you're like, oh, we got to solve this energy problem. Yes, the solve is just don't have it be usable. All these companies are buying it. And then whatever. Actually, you know what? This is about poetry. This isn't about AI. We don't have to talk about that. But man.
But I think we just proved if AI can't even write a workable bad limerick. And so I apologize for wasting so much energy last night. I didn't even think about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, if it can't replicate the magic that happens here on this
Mhm.
show,
Yeah.
it's worth nothing.
There you go. I like that. And I didn't mean to shame you. I don't want
No,
you to
not
think
at
that
all.
I shamed you. I still think you're great, right? I think Dave's great. I mean, he's not here, so he's not as great as you right now, but like, you guys are great. I don't want you to think I'm anti you guys.
No, you got to hold us accountable, Michael. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
that's how we all get better. So
This
I
is why
appreciate
I
it.
wanted to come back because I wanted to be held accountable for this bad poem.
Oh man, yeah. So let's get into this because you've given us quite a beast. Yeah, it was copy pasted into the Word doc last time, and we looked at it and we were like, maybe let's stick with the whole poem. How about you give us? I normally say that the guest should dive into the reading without any context and then have
Yeah,
to defend it after.
yeah,
I think we need a little context because it has like tos and froms and warnings. It's a Sonnet
yeah.
Crown, which is a term I didn't know when you introduced it to me. So
Okay.
I'll give you the floor, Michael. Tell us what we're about to dig into.
So this is I'm happy you gave me a chance before reading the poem because I won't preface the poem itself
Mhm.
too much. But I opened this up because I haven't looked at it since I sent it all to you last time, which I don't know how long. It was like what, a decade or two ago
It
that we talked
feels
last,
like it,
whenever.
yeah.
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 And I haven't looked at it since. I mean, it's a poem. I just looked at my Word document. I haven't touched it since 2008. So,
Wow. Okay.
and it's almost exactly 16 years ago, right? So it was in June of 2008,
Ooh.
right? That I messed with it last.
So this poem could drive now.
Yes, this poem could drive. It's old enough to drive.
Oh gosh.
It also made me go, damn, I've been writing poems for like 16 years. Like, okay, this is a lot. And I opened it and immediately it says to Agnes, which is an ex-girlfriend of mine, someone I was dating at the time, right?
Okay. Yeah.
From Mike, right?
Mhm.
Warning. And what a way to start a poem. Like warning immediately, right? It's in bold, it's capitalized,
4 exclamation points.
four exclamation marks. Man, I don't even have it up right now because I can't look at this warning, right? But it just says warning. And this is the only context I think you need for the poem, right? Which is that it's, for an X, right?
Mhm.
It says warning.
I want to clarify this because I had this question
Yeah.
when I read your explanation. Was it an X at the time? You
No. We were
okay?
together. We were
Okay,
together.
got it.
And
I was like,
so
this would be a whole different level if you wrote this on it after the breakup and then sent
no.
it to her.
No, no, no. So this says, what you're about to read is called a sonnet crown. Technically, it is supposed to be 7 poems, but I have made it 6 because of our 6 months together. So it was in celebration of our 6 month anniversary.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
This was a labor of love and devotion, and I sincerely hope that you enjoy it. As if I didn't say from Mike already just above, I have to double check that it's me, that she knows she's getting it from me.
You might have reached out for a forward from a guest. So, I mean, it's good to sign off on the forward, making sure
Yes,
she
that
knows
is it's
it's
from
from
me,
you.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But this is the thing. It's already apologizing for being a poem, right? Like it's supposed to be like a gift, right, to somebody, and I'm already apologizing. I'm like, sorry, I'm like putting this on you, right? Like my bad. Like technically it's supposed to be 7 poems, but it's only 6. Oh my God. And I just read this and I had to stop. Or like it was 2 days ago. I pulled it up because I was like, oh, I'll get ready. I
Yeah.
just read this and I was like, oh my God, who the hell was I?
You,
16 years ago, I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old, Aaron.
hmm
20 years old. And
Yeah.
I just, this reeks of late teens,
Oh,
just so bad in that beginning. I was like, oof.
it's pretty dramatic and self-serious, and I love how it almost feels like a trigger warning. Like we're about to dive into some really toxic and potentially triggering stuff, but it's not. You're essentially saying, warning, I have poured my love into this. Sorry. It's like,
My
what?
bad, guys. Listen. And man, I don't know. I don't know. What was going on? Where was I?
Why a warning though? Like, couldn't it have just been like what you were about to read is called the Sonnet Crown?
There you go.
Sorry, it's not 7.
Yeah,
If
like
you
she
want to
would
get
know.
technical, yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know.
well, and so like too, like sonic crowns can be messed with, right? You can make them longer, right? But the whole idea of them, some sonic crowns can be 15 poems long,
Oh,
where
wow.
like each poem, so the first poem would start with the first line would be the last line of the last poem. And
Oh,
then and this might not be, I'm pretty sure it's still called a sonnet crown when you do this. But like and then you would go on, with the first sonnet, and then the next sonnet, the last line is the first line of that second sonnet. And it does that until the last poem,
when
which
it
is just
bounces
made up of the
back.
first lines of all the poems. Yeah.
Oh,
And so like
that's
you can do
kind of
that,
cool.
and then the Sonic Crown is like there's one poem at the top, and then the last line is the first line of the next one, and you go on. And if I was 20 when I wrote, which I was 20 when I wrote this, I would have just learned about this. Like I did not get into poetry until around this time.
Okay.
So we're talking like when we read the high school poems last time,
Mm-hmm.
I was 100% like sure I was going to be a playwright or do something with theater or even write fiction, right? I like that's where I was going. And at this time, this would be my like kind of transition away from like fiction playwriting. Like I kind of got screwed over a little bit with like the undergrad program and like not letting me
Mm.
into some of these things and doing poetry instead, which was very like welcoming. My teachers were great and like I had
Yeah.
such a good time with poetry. um and this would be like the like a fresh, this would be like Michael as baby poet, right? Not baby writer, as baby poet, right?
Got it.
And so it just reeks of insecurity in this moment, right? And also my girlfriend was younger than me, and so I felt weird about that at the time, more so than I would have been able to like voice in that
Mm-hmm.
time. And so like, yeah, I don't know. We do things,
We
right?
do things.
We're in love, or we're searching for love, and we write warnings on poems that don't need warnings. Or at
Mm-hmm.
least maybe it does. I didn't get
Maybe
through.
it does.
Yeah,
This might have been foreshadowing. Literally, the first time I saw this,
yeah.
when you last came on, I thought you had given Dave and I a warning.
What else was there?
Yeah.
I'm also historically not a good gift giver. I don't know if anybody can understand clearly see this at this point, but gift giving is not my strong suit.
You're already apologizing in the opening to these
Just,
words. It's like, okay, well,
man,
Michael,
I'm gonna go to my therapist. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I just read this poem. We need to talk about it. He's
there's
gonna be like, yeah, there's some things. And I was like,
some
yeah,
things in
yeah.
here. This
So
actually explains a lot, Michael.
so how would you like me to read this? Because this is
Yeah, because
long,
there's
like you said.
six.
Do you
Yeah.
want me to read like a sonnet at a time? Do we even have time to get through all six
Oh
sonnets?
gosh, I'm so tempted to say, of course we do, but I think what we need to do is you should at least kick it off with giving us the title and then
Yeah.
sonnet one. And then let's just feel it out. Let's just
Okay.
see.
That sounds great. Okay. A love's remembrance. Oh my God. A love's remembrance. One. My first memory of you is your smile. It seems somewhat trite or unimportant, but it only proved your ability to beguile. Immediately after that strange moment, my mind was completely flustered with you, or, more specific, thoughts of adoration, unsure of when or if to take a cue, completely enamored. Consultation was the only way to keep sanity. The suggestion I got was to perform useless flirtation, to save dignity, not to break the preconceived norm. I laid with you on that bed and felt something made me want to slowly melt. Oh man. Oh God. I am not gonna come I am not gonna come off positive in these poems.
I understand. I mean, I've read many of mine on this show now, and it's just nice to have fellow cringe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
tell me how you feel. How do you feel about that?
Um, Not good, Michael. Okay. The word that stuck out to me, and I'm hoping to get some clarity on.
Yeah.
You're completely enamored. You've swept off your feet by this smile, and
Yeah.
consultation was the only way to keep your sanity. Consultation with who? What?
I don't
What are you doing here?
listen. I'm sitting here. More of my biography is coming out right now than I think I wanted to ever happen. But I must be referring to like talking with friends about it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you get a suggestion. So it's like whoever
Yeah.
you consulted with, we're like, well, you got to flirt.
Maybe. I know. So I think like I think too, like, I don't know, man. I like when I was like a senior in high school, like I did flirt with like freshmen and sophomores all the time, right? And like
Hmm.
that's not a great move, you know, like that's,
Mm,
you know, the only thing I can say, it was like the early 2000s, right?
yeah,
And I graduated high school in '06, so I'm 2 years out of high school at the time of this being written. And like, I don't know, like, and she was younger. Like Agnes and I like started dating while she was in high school and I was in college, right?
sure. Yeah,
And so like it's possible that this is like a reflection back on asking my friends while I was still in high school whether or not like it's okay that I'm into her, and them
sure.
giving me really toxic masculine advice of like, yeah, it's fine, but just like you
Of
can't
course,
date
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't date her. Like you flirt with her or whatever, but you can't date her. And like just it might be referring to that,
Yeah, that would
right?
make sense.
Yeah.
Perform useless flirtations to save your dignity. So that,
Yeah. Like just
yeah.
like,
Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah,
man, you can't date her, but like flirting with her is not a problem. Like, I
right.
don't know. Ugh, ick.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some toxicity there. I remember when I was a senior in high school, I got asked by a freshman to the Sadie Hawkins,
Oh.
and it was only because she didn't know I was a senior, but we
Mm,
had met in musical.
yeah.
And of course I said yes because I was dumb and
Yeah.
thought nothing of the age gap.
Yeah.
Nowadays, looking back at that,
Hmm.
I probably should have set some healthier boundaries, but
Yeah.
that was not taught in our generation.
No, it
And I'm
wasn't.
glad
And
that
I,
it is
yeah.
nowadays, at least much more frequently. But
Yeah. I feel like it's especially with like social media being on top of like kind of calling people out a little bit on that
yeah,
stuff.
on
Like,
that,
I think
yeah,
that's really good and really healthy. Right. And like
hmm
something that just wasn't around.
no,
Like when I was that young, I don't know. But then too, like I talked to people around my age, like the woman I'm seeing now, right? Like she dated someone older when she was in high school too. And she was like, yeah, it was like common, like it was a
yeah,
thing that like
oh, it was
happened.
everywhere.
Yeah, and I have friends who like did that and stuff, or like people who were I was friends with, like
Right?
friendly with. I don't know if
Yeah,
we are friends. You know
sure.
how that was. Went to
Yeah.
small high school, like everyone kind of knows
Hmm.
each other. But yeah, it's just oof. And but then too, like let's back up to the poem, right?
Hmm.
This is supposed to be in celebration of a 6 month anniversary, and I'm in the first poem saying like I was right, like what, what? Like, in what world is that like a good move? Like, I mean, I guess maybe if I'm like trying to make amends, but my guess is, and again, haven't read on from here. My
Yeah.
guess is I don't make apologies and I don't make amends for much.
No, no, this, I mean, I'm glad you brought up toxic masculinity because this very much feels like that whole, like, I don't know if either you're trying to come off as like cute shy or if
Yeah.
you were trying to come off as like aloof. I don't know. It's
I don't know. I know for a fact at this point, like I was incredibly insecure. Like
okay,
this
so
is,
maybe you were just really shy and apologizing for just being
yeah,
so
I was
awkward.
definitely insecure in unhealthy ways as well. Like
Sure.
I was definitely in a space where like I did not deal with like I didn't deal with like jealousy well,
Hmm.
right? And I was just always jealous, right? And it took many years of therapy. Thank
Hmm.
you, therapy,
Hmm.
right? Of like kind of working through a lot of those feelings of like where they come from, how I, I'm happy where I am now. I'm a much
Yeah.
better person, but
Yeah.
like you look back on some of these things and I just go, damn,
Yeah.
man, I wish I somebody or I was just smart enough to go, this is not good.
Right.
Like this is
Yeah.
not okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There are those things in our past where like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
of us immortalize them in Sonnet
Oh,
Crowns.
yeah. And then don't delete them, right? Like
Right.
this has gone through like what, 6 USB drives at this
Right.
point
How many
or
times have they
something.
been saved?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
The next one, I'm like
Yeah,
quickly like looking at them. Oh
let's just go
man.
ahead and read it, please.
Oh, okay. I'm so excited because I noticed that there's two spaces after the period.
Oh,
I
we didn't talk
know.
about that. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay. Two. Something made me want to slowly melt. It very well could have been February and the yearning for spring, yet I felt that it was something somewhat less dreary. It was hard to pinpoint you as the source of my dismay. Then I was reminded by a light scent that had a strange force to distract, but I rarely ever minded because it was so great that my sight dimmed into parenthetical, or maybe out parenthetical, of focus, and everything around me was lined with a filmy and ashy gray mucus. I handed my vision an index card. It had to be known I would let my down my guard. I'm just lost, man. I don't know what the hell's going on.
What is going on? Okay. Well, yeah,
Oh,
let's start with how you are old and have two spaces after your period.
oh,
Um,
amazing. Remember when that was a thing that
oh,
we had
Michael,
to
I
do?
still do that. I don't have any like I have no one editing me at this point. So
Yeah,
when I'm
fair.
typing like manuscripts for a sermon or something, I always have two spaces. It's just that habit of the thumb. I mean,
Yeah. It
it
took me a while to get over it. I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie, it took me a
I
while.
mean,
Yeah.
you're still in an academic setting, so I suppose you
Yeah.
have to be up with the times of like whatever Chicago or MLA is
Yeah.
teaching nowadays. Or
Yeah. Well, it's
yeah,
also the double space is I learned this not too long ago, which I thought was really cool, that the double space is actually a product of like typewriters, where like
really,
it would be like that on some typewriter, maybe not, I don't know if it was all or just some. This is the part I don't remember too much, but that like you double spaced because you wanted to signal like that there was more space between the end of a sentence and not, right? Because like
ah,
everything was so uniform, but on like a digital screen, it's easier to see. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true,
fascinating.
but that's something I saw.
Yeah.
Maybe someone shared it on social media and I just went, that sounds right, and just moved on. I don't know.
Those 30
You know.
second clips we just take for granted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that we've covered that, I don't know what else we could talk about with this stanza because it
Part of
is a mystery.
part of me really wants to understand. Like the first one, I'm not gonna lie, I'll confess something. After reading that first poem, I felt deep shame. Like I
Hmm.
was like, oh man, I can't believe I wrote this. Like this seems so problematic, right? And I just was like, damn, like what, like it felt like I was kind of like admitting to a bad thing that I had done, you know?
Mhm.
And I was like, woof, like there's that moment of like, oh my gosh, will Aaron still be my friend, right? Like kind of thing. And this one, I'm just like, what the hell was I on, man? So like, okay, I just want to take a sentence. Can I just do this real
Yes,
quick? I'm trying to
please.
understand. Okay,
Yes.
so the first sentence, something made me want to slowly melt, which is just the repeat of the line
Uh-huh.
before.
Yep.
It
Yep.
very well could have been February and the yearning for spring. Fine. I'm there. I know what's happening,
Yep.
right? It's not great, but fine. So that's the first sentence.
Yeah.
And the next one is, yet I felt that it was something somewhat less dreary, which suggests that the dreariness is yearning for spring. That's weird. I am a pro cold person, but like that doesn't make sense and I don't think that's coming through.
Maybe it's February that's dreary.
Okay.
So yeah.
So
It,
there was something somewhat less dreary. It was
yeah.
hard to pinpoint you as the source of my dismay. Oh my God, this is supposed to be a love poem.
Right.
And I'm like, you caused me dismay. Well, first, let me reflect on this toxic way that I tried to like flirt with you. Then, second poem, let me just say, you make me miserable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is great. I'm on top of it. Oh my God.
You're coming off
I- like,
great, Michael. Don't.
yeah, yeah. Jeez, man. Man. Then I was reminded by a light scent that had a strange force. What a line. By a light scent that had a strange force. I feel like you giggled when I read that, and I was like, yeah, that is accurate. What I want, like, that's a line that, like, part of me is like, I want that tattooed on my body. It's so bad. It's so bad funny, right? Like, wow, by a light scent that had a strange force.
Okay, what is
Even
that?
sounds, I don't know. Where's the transition here? Like, I'm like, okay, I'm yearning for spring.
Yep.
It was hard to pinpoint. And then
But
I'm reminded by
you're
a
the
scent,
source of dismay.
like what like jumps I'm making
Yeah.
here. And then so strange force to distract, but I rarely ever minded because I rarely ever mind. I'm like moving. I was reminded, but then I never mind. I rarely ever minded what? Rarely ever minded what?
The bad smell.
The bad smell. Okay. All
Just-
right. Thank you, Aaron. You're making
yeah.
making this man because it was so great. The bad smell was so great that my sight dimmed into, and then in parentheticals, or maybe out. What a line. Into parenthetical or maybe out parenthetical of focus. What? What? And everything around me was lined with a filmy and ashy. Oh my God, oh my God. What was I trying to describe here? Like fog? I don't even know.
Gray
And then this is
mucus.
my favorite. I'm sorry, man. This is my favorite thing I
Yeah.
think I've ever written. And I handed my vision an index card. Mm. I can't beat that. I better retire right now. I handed my vision an index card. It had to be known I would let down my guard. What guard? What? Oh my gosh. how did I ever get anything published, Aaron? Where am I? Like, please, like, oh
If
my
I
gosh.
hadn't known what you are capable of, I'd be worried for you, Michael. Because
I'm worried for me now.
this second stanza is it's nothing. I don't know what it means. It's just
I don't know what it means either.
yeah.
This feels very much like I'm trying to say something without saying it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a thing like in a lot like in some of my students who either write like I recently taught a creative writing course, an intro to creative writing course, and this happened to some of the students, and it happens often in like the freshman writing courses that I do, where they're like you're trying to say something and it's important to you and you feel like personally invested in it, but like you don't want to be personally invested on the page because like that's
Mm-hmm.
or maybe like, oh, I don't want to add myself to it because like that'll take away some of the power. And it just feels like I had a feeling here that is
Mm-hmm.
just so covered by nonsense
Mm-hmm.
that the feeling is indescribable.
Yeah. Yeah. You've taken a genuine emotion. You've taken
Yeah.
a genuine experience and be it that you're afraid of vulnerability or afraid of
Mhm.
being laughed at or whatever, you have watered it down to the point of nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just
This is
layers of metaphor.
this is like, and I don't want to I'm sorry in advance if you're a LaCroix lover,
Oh
right?
no.
But this is like the LaCroix of poetry, right? It's like water that's been near a strawberry,
Yes.
right? And so they're like, it's strawberry flavored water. And you're drinking it like, no, this is just bubbly water that kind of smells vaguely like it was near a strawberry.
Yeah, yeah.
These first two is just like one, shame. Two, nonsense. I wonder
Yeah.
what three will be like.
Yeah, we have waded through gray mucus. Um let's see what three brings us.
Whew, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Three. It had to be known I would let down my guard. The moment that I was waiting for would never come unless it was also hard on me. I probably could and should have thought about a different way to trick or coerce you. Oh my God.
Oh
Oh
gosh.
no.
Okay, your
Oh,
trigger warning was totally legit for this.
Jesus. Warning, this is a messed up poem. Okay, well, we're going to just pick up from that
Yep,
sentence.
yep.
So we're three lines in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is the fourth line. On me. I probably could and should have thought about a different way to trick or coerce you into wanting the same thing, but the moment was making me sick, thinking something I said earlier came out twisted. So I scoured my mind and sought for exactly the correct words to say. To make the moment right is something I taught myself so that I wouldn't receive a nay. Ooh. Expecting you to flinch, I drew back when our lips met and had an attack. Oh, God.
Oh,
I mean, there's an apology in the poem
there's an
for the tricking and
apology.
coercing, but
It almost feels
Jesus.
like you're apologizing for apologizing. I mean, like there's just so many layers of shame
Eh,
and
Yeah. Am I apologizing for not tricking or coercing her?
um no, I think you're apologizing.
For thinking about tricking and coercing her?
I probably could and should have thought of a different way to trick or coerce. So
Oh,
you're not apologizing for tricking or coercing. You're just saying you did it wrong the first time.
that's the
Gosh.
worst. Sometimes I think to myself, when people say like men are garbage, I go, yeah, yeah, that's fair. I don't think not all men, but I do go like, oh, but some of us could be okay. And
Right.
then I read this and I go, no, all men are garbage.
Our
We're
men are
garbage.
garbage.
We
Yeah.
can't, yeah, we can't, maybe we can't be saved. Oh my
We've been
God.
steeped in such a culture that even the well not me attitude that sometimes we can put on ourselves
Yeah.
is just a defense for the sake of the patriarchy. I mean, it's just us
Yeah.
saying, well, you can say all men are garbage, but I'm fine. But no, this and so many other things just shows
Yeah.
we all carry that
Yeah.
toxicity. Yeah, yeah, something.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yep, yep, yep.
Man, that's a rough one.
Yeah, that is. Also, you're comparing what I assume is like either a reconciling kiss or a first kiss
Hmm.
to an attack.
It's like a good time kind of attack though, Aaron. Come on. I mean, yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Listen,
I'm okay. I'm gonna give young Michael the so many benefits of the doubt and
you
say,
don't. He doesn't deserve it. But
okay,
go ahead. Yeah, but
but
go ahead.
say that you were probably a very self-conscious individual. You've already mentioned that you were not in a healthy place.
Yeah, I want to give you a little bit more biography. Can I do that real quick? We're
Is
halfway through the poem. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like you
okay,
deserve to
yeah.
know at
Give
this
us a
point.
little more context here, Michael.
You deserve to know this.
Okay.
So, Agnes and I kind of dated before dating, right? So
Hmm.
essentially, when I went to college, she was under the assumption that we were dating, and I definitely led her to believe that. But I was not acting as though we were dating. I barely
Okay.
spoke to her, right? I kind of
Hmm.
ghost what we would call now ghosting her,
Ghosting. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And after my freshman year of college,
Uh-huh.
during that summer, maybe during a winter break, it could have been during a winter break. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I did go and apologize to her for doing that. So I treated her awfully, right? Like I
Uh,
was really cruel to her. Not, it was not okay. It wasn't cool.
yeah.
And I went to apologize. And I was still interested in her, but I was under the assumption that like I treated her so poorly that nothing would come of it. But we ended up dating after, like for almost 3 years or around
Wow.
3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when I went and apologized, that's when we like started dating again.
That
And
makes
this
this
must be a reference to that.
Yes, that makes this poem make so much more sense. Because all of this reflection and all of this like, oh, I could have done it differently. I should have done it
Yeah.
differently. I thought you would flinch when I went for that kiss again. You're looking back at a crappy situation where you truly did treat
Yeah.
her like garbage.
I did. And real talk here, like I really did. And I think like that was bad. But that was probably the worst I've ever treated somebody.
Hmm.
And I like we all have like multiple things that we've done to
Mm-hmm.
others, right? Where like we've treated them terribly and on reflection, we're like, man, I could have handled that way better.
Yeah, yeah.
And in this, I definitely could have. And like this has to be a reference then to us getting back together,
Mm-hmm.
right? After that, which I feel like I treated her better that second time around, but I don't think I was that great. I think I carried a lot of the shame of how I treated her that first time
Mm.
into that's like the actual long-term
The
relationship.
3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Man, this is like some therapy that's happening here right now. I'm like, oh, like let me like look into myself. Yeah, but oh man, dude, that second one doesn't make any sense. The
No.
third, it's just all apology right now. This isn't even barely a love poem. This is just like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry you're dating me. I'm sorry that I exist in your realm. I'm sorry that like I put you through all of this.
Yeah.
What love? What
Yeah.
love?
I'm waiting for the good part.
You know?
This is your love and devotion here being poured out and three stanzas into
Uh,
a six stanza crown. We are still in the thick of awkwardness and
yeah.
yeah. So let's see if four brings us around.
Yeah, man. Let me just say, I hope your listeners just have constitution for this, right? And have big hearts, you know?
They've
Like that's
stuck with
just
us so far. So,
so so definitely.
yeah,
Oh my
this,
gosh. Okay. Whew. All right. Four. When our lips met and had an attack of passion, lust, love, I started to shake again. No evening ever had to lack, but when we were apart, there was a lake, or possibly a fast-moving river, that separated us from that love. We stood at opposite sides, and a shiver would run through us. We knew we had to move, and what seemed like the same time, we jumped into the body of water looking for the other. Our arms started to pump, and wet, tired, our gazes locked, fighting the urge to drown ourselves from an embrace. All that saved me was her soft featured face.
okay, Michael.
It's all right, Aaron, just like go into it, man. Just like, tear me down. You got this, right? I'm willing to accept any criticism you have right now.
This is more structurally. This seems to be a love poem to the individual. In fact, it says to Agnes, and the
Mhm.
memory so far has been us and we and our. And then in this last couplet here, we have her.
Well, listen, all right. I'm just, poetry is mysterious and there's just so many things going on. How could one explain poems? Okay, let me ask you this question. Can you explain life? No. So you can't. No, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. That was my
We are,
comedy as defense mechanism
yeah.
there. Oh my God. What? Why do I go from you, our, us to her? Am I talking? I can't be talking about somebody else, right? So, like, I don't know. This must have been just like that, like, weird turn into. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you have like a thing that messes you up when you write all the time. So one of my things, I use the word just all the time. Like,
Uh-huh.
I just did this, I just
Hmm.
did that. Like, constantly in my writing, I have to go back after first drafts and kind of remove. One of the other things I have a huge problem with is tenses, and specifically like present,
Yes.
past, like,
Hmm.
whatever. And I always like kind of like, it's something that I have to pay attention to in a
Hmm.
revision cycle. So this must have been like, maybe I forgot to revise this part. Well,
Sure.
let me
Sure.
sneak a peek. No, her happens a lot in number 5.
Oh, so
Oh
maybe it's a
God.
shift. Maybe
Yeah, maybe I'm
we're
shifting.
seeing a tonal shift.
I will say that, like, I see an attempt here at least at making an extended metaphor that I'm like, okay, I see like this idea of like we're jumping into the river together, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
like we're fighting to keep each other right together, right?
Hmm.
From drowning. But like it
Mm.
doesn't work perfectly. Like, or it doesn't, the logic of it is murky or liquidy, if you will.
Mhm. I'm doing a dog paddle here. So we're pumping our arms, trying to get to each other. And then
Uh-huh.
if we were to embrace in the middle of this fast moving river, we would drown because our arms would stop swimming. So like you want to drown? No, because then all that saved you was her soft featured face.
Jesus.
Um I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Michael, and say that
Please.
as much as this is a beautiful attempt at an extended metaphor, I think it falls short.
You know, Aaron, I really appreciate that criticism. Respectfully, I'll have to disagree and
Okay,
say it's
that's fair.
perfect.
That's
No, no,
fair.
I'm just, no, you're 100% correct. Oh my gosh. There was something. I feel like there were moments in the Incredible Hulk poem from the previous episode that were at least fun.
Yeah,
And here there's just, it's just terror and sadness.
it's something. It's something.
You know, um, yeah. Start this episode with a warning. What you're about to witness is a very sad man who says he's in love, but clearly doesn't know what that is. Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Okay, let's get to 5 here. We just gotta keep. We gotta.
I can't believe we're gonna get through this.
We're treading water here, Michael. We gotta
Yeah,
go.
we gotta go. We gotta go. Okay, okay, okay. All right, 5. All that saved me was her soft-featured face, or perhaps, another perhaps, or perhaps it was her angelic voice that lifted me up from mine own disgrace.
Mm.
Mm, what a what a line. And I don't think that I was given much choice after you first walked by and I smelt perfection for the very first time, or after my hand first reached out and felt your skin, which was completely sublime. Then, every time our lips rally to touch, there's an intoxicating taste I crave and pine until a time when such a savor attaches me to its paste. Oh my God. All my senses linger for attention. I cannot escape your subtle suggestion. I don't I don't know if I can ever write again, Aaron.
Michael.
I don't think I don't think I could do it, man. I need like a detox from that
This
poem.
this is insane. I of of all 132 episodes we've done, this is just. No, I know it's not quite fair because it's 6 poems in one. So I mean,
No.
like, but this is a crowning achievement. This
I just
truly is in the pantheon of worst poems we have encountered. It's just-
this is maybe. And as I was reading that, I was like, this feels like I was trying to write a bad poem and I
Mhm.
didn't. I can't.
you're comparing kisses to like attaching to a paste.
I have the
Uh,
word
you have
smelt.
smelt in there, and that just brings me back to this you being reminded by that passing smell from before, whatever that was. Did she have a good
What?
perfume? I have to.
Oh
That
my
strange
God.
force. Okay, so back in two, you were reminded by a light scent, that strange force to distract, but you
Yeah.
barely ever minded that, and then your sight got phasey, and there was some ashy gray mucus, and you gave your vision an index card. I don't know, but then we come back to this with
Mhm.
smelt as she first walked by you. Are you smelling the same light scent?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna be real. As I read this, I thought to myself, I must be trying to not comment on her features or her physical body like at much at all. Like
Okay.
I must have been like early college. Like I was early college, but like that kind of early college, like, hey, look at all these like older white dudes who wrote these poems, these stories about women and how like, that classic example of like, you describe the woman walking down the stairs and it's just about her like breast and her
Mm-hmm.
buttocks or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that word. So anyway, right.
Buttocks.
Yeah, God, I'm in
How old
rare
are you,
form today. I am
Michael?
I am 67 years old. I look great for
Sounds
my
about
age.
right.
Thank
Sounds
you.
about right. Yep.
Anyway, yeah, the only thing I can think of is like, oh, I must have been really trying to be like, okay, let me describe things that are not physical features because I come back to smell, right?
Mm-hmm. And
And
voice,
the
the angelic
voice,
voice.
the
Yes.
angelic voice, which is the like most cliche way to talk about a voice, and that it lifted me up from mine own disgrace.
Mhm.
What a choice there.
Yeah. Very Shakespearean.
Okay. So I don't think I was given much choice after you walked by and I smelt perfection. How does one smell perfection? What is that? Why am I obsessed with her smell?
Is
Like
it
this is
the
this is rough.
this is an ad for a perfume, Michael. I think the title of the perfume is it's perfection. You could buy it on the shelf. You know,
Welcome to A Love's Remembrance, a perfume by Perfection.
perfection.
Have you ever smelt perfection for the very first time? Or
Perfection.
after your hand first reaches out and felt that skin? Perfection. Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry. That's just like, oh my God. I use the word sublime. Our lips rally to touch. Intoxicating taste. I crave and pine. Savor attaches me to its paste. I will say, there's something about the sound that's cool, but God, the words are bad.
That's true. It does have a nice. There's some good assonance in there. There's some good. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's it sounds fine. You look at any of the words on its own, and it's like,
It's
oh,
rough. I feel honored. I wanted to say this a second ago, but we got distracted by the badness of it, which is fair.
sure.
I wanted to say I feel honored that I could provide you with maybe the worst poem
Oh
that this
man,
that this show has
I would.
has presented.
I I'm I could say I feel like this is up there. People, dear listeners, if you have a thought on this, please write in because if you can think of one that was more cringe inducing than what Michael is giving us today, please let me know because I mean like it's giving me so much joy having gotten through all of the Wolf Journal, which was my bad poetry,
Yeah.
and all of its toxicity and clumsiness and weird word plays and everything in it. And to hear this and be like, this is the Wolf Journal condensed and given to us all in one go. This is
In one 14-line thing.
yes. I do love how you're saying, and I actually kind of appreciate this in that you feel like maybe your previous self was trying to not be the gross guy describing just a hot
Yeah.
bod or whatever. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and so the only thing that you're willing to mention is her soft featured face, which you even apologize for in the first thing. My first memory of you is your smile, and that seems somewhat trite and unimportant.
Oh,
So, like,
yeah.
you're pointing out, like, I noticed a physical detail of you, but don't worry, there's so much more. And then when you come back to it, it's just still the face. So, you know,
Can I just
it's
say
what?
you are the best at finding a silver lining in things. Like you're just the kindest man. Like I just like that. I was trying to save face here a little bit and be like, oh, at least it wasn't super disgusting, everybody. But you were like, actually, and that was so well worded, like so kind of you. Like I just feel so appreciative to be in this space with you and to be reading these awful poems and for you to be like, you know what, let's find the silver lining here. You do apologize for noticing a physical feature first. And isn't
Yeah.
that something? And I
Well,
just feel like, Aaron, you are in the right profession, my friend. You
well,
have
thank you.
you've made a choice and you got this, man. You like thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Michael. I did just say that this might be the worst bad poem on the show, but I'm glad I could give you a silver
Listen,
lining.
yeah, man, I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm mostly honored that you said that this is the worst bad poem on the podcast. I mean, you've had some cool people on this podcast, and I just love that I'm able to come in and be like, hey guys,
You just dropped
here's
the
the bad poem.
mic. You dropped the
Yeah.
mic.
Can you write worse poetry than this?
Yeah, yeah.
No, you can't.
Okay, well, with that, let's
I got the
close
last one.
this out. Let's
Let's do
finish
this.
the loop here. Part
Okay,
6.
6. I cannot escape your subtle suggestion, so I stay enthralled. I tried to escape once. I hoped that it would slow the progression or halt the hold, but it was a mistake. I should have known that when all my thoughts concerned of you, there was no way to turn them into the simpler ones that I sought. My heart and mind would never stop to burn. I cannot stay away from your embrace or your touch that brings a soft caress. I stopped running and carrying on the chase, and it has made it easier to obsess. Always I will keep on mental file. My first memory of you is your smile.
Aw,
Okay, this does read a little bit more like awe-y, it's not
yeah.
great, but like there's
No.
like,
You
yeah.
you finally kind of hit your stride here. 6 poems in.
Thanks, man. What a good thank you. Thank you.
But
Finally.
I
Oof.
think the context you gave us halfway through this poem of
Yeah.
the breakup, the ghosting, and the return,
Yeah.
and then this as your closing stanza, your closing
Yeah.
poem in the crown, it finally makes a little bit of sense. In that 6 months into this relationship, as you have your reconciled relationship, you've poured your
Mhm.
love and devotion into this warning, a
Mhm.
love versus remembrance. It is ultimately an apology
Mhm.
of the time that you tried to run away by ghosting
Yeah.
her. I mean, using
Well,
your metaphor here, you tried to run,
yeah.
but you could
I
not
do
escape.
want to note for those
Yeah.
at home or for us here that this apology, right, still centers me
Oh, very
really
much so.
explicitly
Yeah.
in a way that I'm like, okay, I can see how like if this poem were by itself, how this could be kind of like cute, right? Or kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
like a
Mm-hmm.
loving thing. But like to have these 6 poems, right? Which is supposed to be a gift to
To
her
her.
for the 6 month anniversary
Yep.
is not even about her.
Mm-mm.
Instead, it's about me, like in my struggle to eventually be in
Get.
a space where I could like accept being with her
Yep.
when really the gift I was given was the fact that she spoke to me at all after I ghosted
Yeah.
her, right? That she gave me any moment in time after that. And the fact that I can't recognize that is the gift, that the gift is that she found forgiveness in her heart and was able to like just hear me out and then
Mm-hmm.
was like, you know what, I'll try this again and saw something like, and then I go, here, let me repay you by focusing on me.
Yeah. No, it's not a good apology, Michael. I wasn't saying
No.
that. It makes more
Okay,
sense, but
thank you.
it's not good.
Uh,
I'm glad you voiced that because another aspect of this is you're comparing your love to her as an attack
mm,
and kind of an addiction, something you can't escape, and then you make it almost sound like an entrapment. I'm gonna say toxic masculinity has kind of given us that framework to talk about
yeah.
relationships. It's like the old ball and chain, yuck yuck.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But the way in which you describe this return to her is like I could not escape this, and you eventually have brought me back in. It is, yeah, it's gross. It's
Yeah,
gross.
thank you. Well, thank you.
Yeah, like
Oh
like
man,
that gray mucus that you never explain. I don't know.
you know, we all have a gray mucus in our past that we don't want to explain or
That
can't explain.
filmy,
No,
ashy gray mucus that has to
what?
do with your vision. I don't know. I'm sorry. Of all the things within this sixth poem, that line is the weirdest.
I do, at the beginning of this, I was like, ugh, Dave is sick, get out of here, right? But now I'm sad Dave wasn't here to
I am
just
too.
like
I am so
also just
sad.
be like amazed by my awfulness.
I feel like I mean like this might be a three-part episode just by one, the length of which we have
Yeah.
gone. But two, I almost feel like I need to send him this and then have
Yeah.
him like dub in commentary. Just like add his two thoughts
I,
once he gets his voice back.
I will
Because
say I'm happy to come on for like a coda, right?
oh
And
yeah.
just have Dave like attack me, right? Like
Oh,
just
he
have him be like,
I'm sure there are
you know,
so multiple moments where he's just I bet there are just moments where he's probably gonna fall out of his chair like Aaron, you should have said this. Okay. Well, we have gone
thank
on a
you.
journey. And
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity
yeah,
to air my dirty laundry.
yeah. I'm glad we could give you this platform and center
Yeah.
you for this.
Oh, that was a high pitched laugh. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's not good. My apologies, man, to
it's
everybody involved.
I get it. Apology accepted, Michael. You put us through a
Thank
lot
you.
today. We're gonna have to wrap this up. And
Okay.
oh, before we go, I should thank you in particular. After our poem, I was reminded of this because we're going to do the wrap up where you get to read
Mhm.
a good poem.
Yeah.
Your last poem, which was I just looked this up last night just to remember. Instructions for my father's burial. Is that
Father's mortician.
yes?
Yeah.
We talked about fatherhood and
Hmm.
the understanding and loving parents and figuring out how we deal with our fathers and stuff. Following that episode, I was like, I love my dad. I want to have a good experience with my dad. We went to go see Bruce Springsteen together because of you,
Oh,
Michael.
oh, dude,
We
thanks.
did
Oh,
that
that's
splurge to have that memory because that's his favorite artist. I don't think we would have done it
nice.
otherwise. So,
Ah,
yeah.
that makes me feel much better after this journey through a very toxic past. No, I'm so happy to hear that,
Yeah.
man. I'm so
Yeah. It was
happy.
totally worth it too. Man.
Ah,
Anyway, so let's see what you will inspire out of me now with this poem because we end each week with the words of a true poet. So, Michael, would you be willing to read for us another one of your poems for today?
Yeah, I brought two different poems that I was thinking
Hmm.
about. I brought a sonnet because I was like, oh, these are bad sonnets. I could do a sonnet, but I think I don't know. Is it okay if I read a little bit longer of a poem? Is that okay?
After reading this six marathon, yeah, no, you can totally do that.
So I'm not going to read the sonnet one. I'm going to read a different one. It's called "The Vacant Lot Where My Home Once Stood," and it's based on Elizabeth Bishop's visit to Saint Elizabeth's. And it takes on the same form as that poem, which has a lot of repetition. So it starts with one line and then goes to a stanza with two, then three.
Oh,
And as I
cool.
read it, you'll kind of like see the repetition and it goes. And a lot of what Elizabeth Bishop is kind of reflecting on the same place, like starting small and kind of, or starting in one space and kind of broadening out a picture of that place. And I was thinking a similar thing to the like house that I kind of grew up in, which was a vacant lot for a little bit after we moved out. We'd sold it to a pizza place next door, actually, right? That
Oh,
bought the land and they tried to develop it a bunch
mm,
and eventually knocked down the house because the house was standing for a long time after we moved out. But they knocked it down because people had like been using it
mm,
like, like kind of going in and out, like people who are unhoused or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And there was a vacant lot there that I ended up visiting at one point. And when writing this poem, one of the things that I was thinking a lot about is kind of like how a space or a place can like kind of bring us back to like who we used to be and might not be now and how like we kind of feel about that, right?
Yeah.
And so there is like some themes that we I mean unfortunately talked about today
Sure,
in the
sure.
poem that come out in this one. So thank you for letting me read it,
Yeah.
right? And Yeah. So the vacant lot where my home once stood. This is where my home once stood. This is the path from the front back to where my home once stood. This is the grass growing in the foundation next to the path that led from the front back to where my home once stood. This is where I knelt as a boy, grass only growing in the cracks of the foundation, next to the front path leading to the back, where all I'd known as home once stood. This is where I met my first earthworm, kneeling as a boy, grass tickling my feet, my foundation, in front of the path to the back, where my home still stood. This is the ground I dug with my hands, revealing that first earthworm like a gift. A boy on his knees, the grass formed the foundation around the path to the back, where my home once stood. This is when I lifted the ground I dug with my hands in a slow, wriggling earthworm, unaware I was kneeling or a boy. No grass, only dirt in this cupped foundation. I didn't move from the path leading back to where my home once stood. This was the face peering at the lifted ground I dug with my hands, my first earthworm. I knelt as a boy, no grass growing from the foundation because the front path clearly led back to where my home stood. This was when it touched my face as it lifted from the ground in my hands. This first of all earthworms. I'm kneeling, remembering that boy. Grass now growing behind me through the foundation. Most of the front path leads nowhere. My home once stood here. This is where it's all memory. The gentle kindness of touch as it traced features of my face, its end lifted as I had lifted my hands, which held it, my first earthworm. I was kneeling, recalling this boy, who was not grass, but a different foundation. Maybe I am the path that leads back to where my home once stood. This is when it turns towards shame, my simplest memory. There's a wet, cooling touch, like I have washed my face with earth lifted from the ground with my own hands. The earthworm was the first to try tenderness with a boy on his knees who looked like grass grown on an abandoned foundation or between the slabs of a front path to the back where a home once stood. This is when I devoured it. I felt no shame then, only now, when the memory of this gentle touch across my wet face lifts as the ground I ate with my own two unwavering hands and that first whole living earthworm. Though I rise from my knees, that boy, the grass hiding in my foundation, outlines every path that curls back to where I now stand.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm.
Appreciate it. Reading that felt a little different after reading
Yeah.
the shitty ass poem that we just did, but yeah,
No, it
I
was
think
very, very cleansing,
yeah.
in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for doing that. I'm always surprised at how long it takes to read that
Oh,
poem.
that's a good one. This has been My Bad Poetry.
Now go write some of your own bad poetry.
It's also,
Thanks, man.
yeah, it's also very complimentary to Lutheran theology if you want to get nerdy there. But
Oh,
oh,
really?
yeah, yeah,
We gotta get religious nerdy
yeah,
at
we
some
do,
point,
we do.
right?
Your
Yeah.
third time on, you can bring some of your religious poetry. I'm sure you have something in there. I'm sure you have.
Oh man. Oh, I probably do.
Rhyme free doesn't matter.